So our last speaker now is Polly Barnfield, who is the Chief Executive Officer with Maybe. The title of Polly's talk is Using Social Media to Drive a Thriving High Street. So thank you very much, and over to you, Polly.
Hello, can everybody hear me and see me? All good? Perfect. Asking to unmute myself. Perfect. Thank you very much. What two fascinating talks. So yeah, Maybe is all about saying how can we listen to the conversation that's going on in the place to support our high streets. We work with the High Street Task Force and we collate the data from about 3.4 million businesses across the UK by climbing around Google Maps. We put all the data together and we go back every night and collect all the data from Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. We then pump that data out into dashboards that we're in a position now, we've got 3.4 million dashboards to get into the hands of businesses. And we've turned that same data into public facing guides for 3,600 towns, which we need to get distributed to. We are currently working with Visa, Mastercard and Amex to then connect all of the transactions in a town back to that data, which is really interesting because it means that what will happen when we're allowed to go back on the high street, that a consumer will be able to make a purchase on a high street and will immediately be able to say, hey, would you like to see what else you can buy nearby, purchase nearby you? So we believe that by taking social data, linking it with place data and connecting it to spend data, you could overlay it against great sets of data like footfall. Because as a consumer, I don't see any difference between online and offline. And I think our enforced period during lockdown will further reinforce that, which is that, as consumers, we see no blur. And as places, we've collectively got to have the infrastructure to be able to bring people back in, but be able to combine them by linking existing data sets. So this is how we're using the data today to help high streets. But there's all sorts of opportunities to link it with other data sets as well. So we have launched a nationwide programme designed to help UK high streets recover from COVID, which is all about making places shoppable. And we work with local authorities and bids up and down the country to provide them with a tool set that lets them have a shopping guide that's updated constantly. It's not just a shopping guide, it's for all the businesses that are in a place, whether they're open only online right now and when they're open physically as well, it'll be even better. We've got the infrastructure in place to reward shoppers. So when they buy in a place through a Visa or Mastercard, that can be linked back to a transaction that a bid can see, or a local authority can see. So working with the Reopening High Street Safely Fund, for example, it's very clear that what people want to be able to is demonstrate the value. So we can demonstrate that you've done a thing and you've delivered spend in a place, which again would be amazing to link back to footfall data, which is what we're working with the High Street Task Force on, is to provide that dashboard that shows how social media data is linking and impacting physical footfall data. And then the underlying piece of all of this is that we help places increase the skills of their businesses, because the rather frightening number, which I'll come on to in a moment right now, is that only 28% of businesses are active on social media. And when you stop and think about that at a local level, and when you stop and think about that for a moment, it's pretty worrying, because 3.8 billion people, 66% of the UK, are spending about 3 hours a day on social media. So as a local business, if you're not using social, you're not going to have the tools to pull customers back into your place. But importantly, it's the data that comes out of that. So let's look at what we can do with that from what I call a consumer perspective. Then we'll look at how we provide business-focused tools as well. So the local rewards element maybe says that we can make every high street shoppable, both online and offline, with virtual guides. And the key thing about these guides is they're populated automatically based upon local social media content. So nobody has to create anything. We take the content that's already out there, and because we link all those businesses by Google Maps, we can create a boundary and say, right, let's have a guide for this area. And those areas can be defined by local authorities or bids. And that data is then linked by Facebook Messenger to transactions through Visa and Mastercard, which turns every Visa or Mastercard transaction in a store into a local promotion. So you buy something in one place and it promotes a sale in another. I'm super excited about that. Yeah, we're dying for everything to open again, as everybody else is. We have Ready My Town guides for 3,500 high streets across the country, and equally individual high streets can say, oh, I'd just like to create a little one for my area or shopping centres. But what we're doing is collating all of the data from those businesses in the area. And then there's also a set of tools for people to overlay specific rewards on top of that. So for any reason a business doesn't want to have an Instagram account, they can still use local rewards by putting data on over the top of that in the form of a local reward, where they say, if you come into my store today, you get a free cup of coffee with 5 sticky buttons or whatever it is. So really nice, easy to use digital tools that link people and places together. And we provide a whole raft of physical assets that use the only benefit of COVID is we've all learned how to use a QR code, and all the QR codes linked to physical guides. So we provide the technology, the platform, the local rewards, QR codes, email activation, the onboarding campaign, the whole thing, and the campaign for places to deploy. Because if every place has to do this, it's a huge task, and we've built the pipes, and you just need to plug it in. But underlying this is the skills gap, which I think is as I mentioned, a bigger agenda. What we're finding in the places that we're working right now is that by putting all of this social data into a public-facing guide, businesses go, oh, I'm not there. And well, they're not there because you're not on Google My Business, and you haven't got an active Instagram account, which you should have, because that's where the customer is. And if you can make all the businesses in a place become more digitally active, the place has a benefit too. Because the more businesses talk to their customers on social, the more business they do. And we've got massive data to prove that. So for the 28% of businesses that are active on social media, we provide the tools and the training to help them go faster. But most importantly, we focus on sharing their successes so that others can follow in their footsteps. Because this is about getting people to believe they can do it, getting businesses to realize that they need to talk to their customers, they need to remain connected to their customers, and they need to invite their customers to their business, whether that be online or offline. This little glimpse of the sort of case studies we've got, and what's really fascinating is the more we do this, the more we realize that one tiny change can have a massive impact on businesses. And we work very hard to get businesses to reveal revenue numbers to us. Lots of businesses don't want to do that. But this lady on the left, for example, she's learned how to use social over the last 2 years. And on the second lockdown this year, she in 6 hours did a very, very large 7-figure sale. Just because of one thing she'd learned to do through social. We've got another business who's working with actually with the Cotswold District Council, who was going to close 2 of her 3 stores. She learned how to do one thing on social media, and she started earning an extra £1,000 a day through lockdown, which has meant those 3 stores stayed open. But most importantly, this lady on the left for the shoe store, she's a reason for people to visit Cheltenham. And I think it's this whole idea that if you can improve the individual skills of a business, you collectively improve the footfall of the place. And while we're all shut, the ability to actually deliver footfall, digital footfall to those businesses is critical too, because if each of them individually have to go and buy their customers, it's really expensive. So how you can support businesses through lockdown is really important, as well as once we're open again. So we work with a raft of businesses, thousands of them, helping them find the one thing that make a big change. So we do that through the Maybe platform, which is what powers local rewards. And what we turn all of that social data we collect into engagement tools and tools that you can compare performance. So the shoe lady, for example, has learned how to do this by comparing her data to Gucci and Russell and Bromley, and thought, well, actually, I haven't got an agency, but if I follow in their footsteps, can I do better? And has she just done that? So just by using her own iPhone and shooting pictures in her own home, she's watched how other people are doing it, and is now absolutely crunching her numbers. She's actually sold more shoes this year than she did last year, and she's in the top end bracket that shouldn't be selling during lockdown. But it's all about being able to understand what's working. So everything we provide lets businesses see what's working, what's not working, what's working for their competitors. It lets them compare their data against somebody else's, and then at a town level, it lets you understand what's the best post in a town, how you can engage with all the businesses in the town, and critically, it gives you trackable spend. It makes digital turn into spend. You can see what's actually been spent on the high street because of the link we have with Google, Visa and Mastercard. Not Amex, Mastercard and Visa. It means you can see the spend in store as well. And so you can say that online promotion has driven me that spend in store. And importantly, you can see that at an aggregated level as well across the town. So our aim right now is to get our dashboards into the hands of the 3.4 million businesses that we've created them for. Because if a business can understand today, particularly in lockdown, what are my customers saying? How do our customers feel? Who's influencing their buying decisions? How can I engage with all the people in a place? Because those people still exist. It's just they're not out and about right now. They're all living in social media. So getting consumers, getting businesses to connect consumers through social media is a way for them to drive their sales. Local rewards is a way for us to aggregate that together at a place level, so that as a local authority or as a business improvement district, you can promote the businesses in your place. And most importantly, through local rewards, you can then look at what's the impact of social media on our sales, and what's the impact on town-wide spend. Because if every business has to promote themselves to, as we come out of lockdown and start to recover, it's very expensive. If you can start to collectively promote a place, it will help all of the businesses within them thrive faster. So a dashboard for every business that shows them what's working, what's not working. We make reporting a breeze, and enables everybody, particularly while they're remote working, to be able to see their data as well. So if you can understand what your customers are saying, see how you're performing, get on the same page, manage your town rewards, we believe we can help businesses recover faster. I work with a wide range of authorities across the UK, and it's an absolute pleasure to see so many authorities beginning to embrace how they can create a digital infrastructure for places. I think what's the most fascinating part of it is how you can see so many different layers of data, both from the perspective of from a local authority to be able to see the impact they're creating, but then see those success stories emerge at a local level and see how individual businesses are sprouting their digital wings and then delivering themselves revenue that is game changing. But collectively, that is what makes each place become more digital. I believe that consumers desperately want to shop local, but they need to be able to find their local businesses, and we're all about making that happen. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Polly. That's again, it's fascinating. Before I hand over to Linda for the Q&A, I had one question. Do you have any customers or towns in Wales that are using the system at the moment?
Do you know, interestingly, we are not. We were talking to Owen Davis, who is a High Street Task Force expert, yesterday, I think, who's very keen to see a rollout, and we've got a sort of big conversation going on. We're in Scotland, but we really ought to be live in Wales.
Okay, well, maybe after today, there'll be people queuing at your door. So thank you very much.